Hello, thank you for watching Channel 24 and this edition of Voices of Jonesboro. I have Chris Gibson, Alderman Chris Gibson. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Jackson. Great day to be in Jonesboro.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's remind everybody what ward you represent and what general area of town that is.
Okay, I actually represent Ward 3, Seat 2. We start around the Jonesboro Country Club area and go north by northeast to encompass the Sage Meadows community and in that area.
Okay, all right. What would you say is the largest or the biggest accomplishment for the city of Jonesboro in 2012?
I think there are a few of those, Jack. I certainly think the purchase of the Mercantile Center is a great accomplishment. We've been talking, there's been discussion for several years now that we needed just a centralized location to where the citizens could access our services a little easier instead of having to jump from building to building. And as you and I have discussed in the past, we've grown from a small town to a small city,
Right.
and we've kind of outgrown our infrastructure as far as departments go.
Right.
So this provides a little more user-friendly version of our city government.
Right, and that was kind of the theme of last year. In general, we had the new public works facility, we had a fire station, and the purchase of the Mercantile Center, which all essentially allows us to better serve the public.
Exactly. Yeah. Another thing that I feel is very positive for the city is our continued economic stability. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's certainly not the norm across the country. If you'll look at some of these other communities, they're really struggling to stay afloat.
Right.
And we were actually able to give our employees a small stipend this year.
Right.
Wasn't quite enough to offset the federal, but it was at least a little bump.
Yeah, you can't control those guys.
And you know, the 49 corridor. There's continued the Northeast Arkansas Baptist Medical Center that's going up out there, largest economic growth in the state right now, and as you see that thoroughfare, it's the main driver for our economic, growth in Northeast Arkansas.
Right.
I think that's a great accomplishment.
Right, and that area of town has exploded. It seems like it's, I mean, living here, it seems like it's going up overnight. But,
very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So in 2013, what would you like to see accomplished? So this time next year, when I'm asking you this question again, what do you want to see accomplished?
Well, one of the positives that I mentioned was the economic stability. There's also a little bit of detriment to that because our infrastructure, as far as the city goes, cannot handle the traffic flow we have now.
Right.
And with that continued growth out in that area, we're certainly going to have to look at some options. We've worked closely over the last few years with the State Highway Department and freed up some interchanges and made some deceleration lanes where they were needed to keep arteries moving along. Right. The hire of the new traffic engineer, I think, will help offset that some. Right. But we're going to have to look at a northern bypass along the way, and we're also going to have to look at some more signalization changes. I think the traffic count on that corridor is about 20,000 roughly throughout the course of any given day, and drops to about 15,000 down around the Brooklyn area. So we've got to do something to alleviate that congestion.
Right. Okay, so just general infrastructure with as it pertains to traffic.
Very much so. Even the stadium corridor, where the old fairgrounds, as it continues to grow, we have some issues there as well.
Right.
Definitely need to look at that. Some of the other things we need to look at as far as growth go, we need to look at some more sidewalks, pedestrian lanes, things of that nature, just to kind of alleviate.
Right. So would you say that that's reflected in our 2013 budget?
I would certainly think so. We have looked at what's best for the city when it comes to this budget year, and I think that our department managers have done a really good job of addressing the issues that are in the forefront.
Okay, so what would you say would be our obstacles in achieving these infrastructure goals?
Well, again, we revert back to money. Unfortunately, the funds aren't there to just go out and build a $60 million project or whatever the cost of that bypass may be. But we will continue to work with the State Highway Department, and hopefully we can come up with a solution together.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for sitting in with us. Always a pleasure sitting and talking with you.
You as well.
And so there you have it. Infrastructure and the obstacles of funding. Obviously, that's always going to be a problem, and just the simple fact that things don't happen overnight. These projects take time, and years in the planning. So again, thank you so much for sitting in with us.
Thank you. And Jack, I do want to take this opportunity to publicly thank you for the job you're doing here, as well as our other city employees. I think a lot of times their jobs are thankless, and we do appreciate everything that they do on a daily
Absolutely.
basis.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Absolutely. And thank you guys for watching Channel 24.